Well, here we are with the Cardiff City phone in. Had an interesting day with technology, so apologies for the delay. And I can't guarantee I'll be around that long, but we'll see how we go. So we got a great panel tonight. We got Gary Lee is with us, Steve Thomas, who's just come off the bench with a bit of linseed oil going on there, or wintergreen, whoever it was, and Richard Davis. So they all know each other well, so we've got plenty to talk about. So, Gary, I'll come to you first. And we'll try and see how we get on with this. Firstly, on the weekend, there was conflicting opinions from City fans. I'll tell you how I saw it, and then maybe you can spin around from there. I thought first half we looked really good. I thought we were easily the better team. Played some really lovely football. We could have scored one or two, and probably should have scored one or two more in the first half. And we were still looking pretty solid until that sending off, which was controversial. Then the pressure was on us. But I think the sending off changed the whole game, Gary. What's your take?
Yeah, I agree, Steve. I think that, up till half time, they look very limited, Plymouth. They play a very direct style of football now, which we were easily combating. And then obviously when Gutas got sent off, it's the first time really that he got caught one-on-one with nobody behind him. And I think, I thought he was going to be sent off, to be honest. He was literally a yard outside the penalty area. He was the last man, and I thought the crowd go up, and I instantly thought that the ref, I thought that's a sending off. If it had been down the other end, I'd have been screaming for their centre-half to be sent off. And then, I suppose in the circumstances that followed, then, Bagan going off injured, patched up back four, goalkeeper on one leg for the last 5 minutes. We probably did well to take the point. Unfortunately, I think if we'd stayed 11-on-11, we could have easily have won that game. I think another goal, it would have been all over, because I thought they were really poor, really, really poor. And had we got another goal, I think we could have even hung on with 10 men with the two-goal lead, because they never really. I thought when they equalised, they were just going to bombard us for the last half hour. I mean, they had 50 minutes against 10 men basically, and then their fans were belly aching really that we were doing a lot of housery and all that, wasn't it? But I think we did what we had to do really. Unfortunately, we just cannot win those big games. Portsmouth away, Oxford away. Plymouth away. We've got another massive one tomorrow. But who knows? We're going to be a patched up team. God knows, I can't see Bagan playing an all-week, pretty much not. So who knows what sort of side we're going to be able to put out tomorrow? That's the big thing now. We're running into a lot of injuries, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait and see. Won't we?
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it's going to be patched up side. Richard, so which side of the fence are you on with this in terms of a game a massive game, a game we needed to win, yet another draw, not quite good enough, and then giving away the pen and everything else, or the fact that that sending off changed the whole game, and up till then we were looking really good.
I thought they were, like Gary said, I thought they were a poor side. We were very much in control of that game. We had to. I think Salah had a header, didn't he? Which the keeper deflected onto the defender on the line. The defender on the line didn't know anything about it. We had a couple of chances. I think if we had gone maybe 2, maybe 3-0 up at half time, I don't think there could be any complaints. I think in the second half they bullied us. The sending off, you can see why it's given. It's more a coming together. I thought it was a bit harsh, to be honest, but that's me. But and then after that, you'd think, oh, you're down to 10 men. You recognise centre half is off the field. They didn't put any quality into our box, apart from the goal they scored. And after that, they didn't even look like scoring, did they? So I think we held out. I think it was on the first half display, it's 2 points dropped, and after the sending off, it's a point game. So we're 3 points ahead of them. We've got a game tomorrow, and hopefully we can get a result. I think sometimes it's about picking up points away from home and then winning your home games. and we've got a few home games coming up now that we really need to take points from. Just to get us away from that bottom of the table and create that sort of like gap. So it's disappointing, but you know, at the end of the day, after 90, I've got 115 minutes. I think 105 minutes. It was a decent point in the end.
Okay, Steve. Of course, one of those home games is Burnley. You know, one of the tightest defenses in the division. So when we look at the games, I know a few weeks back, you know, we saw the teams around us. And we thought this is a month where we could push on, but for whatever reason, it happened. So how did you see it on the weekend? Was it 2 points thrown away, or were you in the end happy with the point?
I think Gary and Richard have summed it up really well. At the end of the disappointing only be a goal ahead at half time. Excuse me. In the end, Gary said 5 minutes. I think it was 15 minutes in the end that we were effectively down to 9 players with Jack Hannock as the cameo on one leg in the goal, having had
one-legged goalkeeper.
Absolutely, yeah. I think also, I say, as Richard noted earlier on, there's quite a bit of debate over the penalty. I think what I'd say about that is sometimes you see them given, sometimes you don't. But what unfortunately we did was we gave the referee, be it on the halfway line, somebody said in the comments, we gave the referee a decision to make. And whatever, you see them given, as you said, Gary, I'd have been screaming for it had it been down at the other end. Yes. You might think it was harsh. It's the sort of thing you can see go either way, but it got given. But as Richard said, there was only the one decent chance they had, which was the goal they scored from. So I think we did well to take a point out of it. I mean, it's disappointing. I mean, a lot of things are disappointing. I mean, the home game in Coventry where we were only 1-0 up at half time, and then within 3 minutes of the start of the second half, it was the other way round. We had the equaliser first, and then the sending off. And then on Saturday, we had them the other way around with the sending off first before the goal got scored. But in both of them, we dug in and we dug out the point. At the end of the season, these points could be very valuable. I've been advised on a number of occasions by supporters of other teams that I know that there are 3 worse teams than us in this division. And as I've said on here previously, the third time in the last 3 shows I've been on, I think, I want to go to Norwich on the last day of the season, 4 points ahead of third from bottom. Otherwise, it's going to be... kind of a day.
There was a sending off, wasn't there? Not sending off. There was a similar incident in the game between Watford and Luton yesterday, which is basically more like an assault on the Luton player by the Watford centre half, or the other way around. And
the difference there was
the
difference there was I think there was 2 defenders. Gutas was the last man. It was a long ball up the middle, and he got involved in a foot race with that guy, didn't he? That their player, and he was a yard outside the area. That's the reason why I think with the Watford one, there were 2 players there coming in together. There was another defender right there. There wasn't a defender the other side of Gutas, was it? Unfortunately, and then the goal they scored was, like we said before, Fish when the header was knocked down in the penalty area, Fish was the wrong side of their forward, wasn't he? He should have been. He was the other side of the forward, unfortunately, and that's about it though from them. I thought they were going to batter us in the last 20 odd minutes, but they didn't. It was that's the frustrating part about it, was that they look such a poor side, but down to 10 men, what are you to do? And then our other centre half goes off, so we got a real patched up back 4. People shuffling all over the place, and our injuries now are starting to bite a bit, aren't they? So what sort of back 4 we'll have tomorrow is, I don't know.
I think Jamie Anderson in the comments made a really good point. Yes, we got a point. We'd have rather had 3, but none of the bottom 3 gained on us. Yes, Hull won unexpectedly at Sunderland.
Yeah.
Plymouth drew with us, and Luton and Derby both lost. I think somebody else pointed. I think it was Tony Rivers Lakey pointed out on the message board. Looking at the Derby and Luton online forums must be very interesting, because I know that some Derby fans that I know living in the part of the world that I do, they they're in free fall. They've got a new manager in. Luton got a new manager in. I was puzzled when they brought in the manager from Wickham, but he's not really had the new manager bounce that others have. Again, I'm really struggling to understand why Luton are in the position they are with the players they've got being basically the players they had in the Premier League. They made a really decent fist to that. They took what a lot of people would say is our best centre back away, and yet there they are, rooted on the bottom.
He didn't play yesterday, though, did he, Steve? The two centre halves, apparently, they got pulled out about an hour before kick-off, apparently, McGuinness and the other one. I don't know what happened there. Both injured, I assume. Obviously, and how long for, I don't know. But Millwall did us a favour, beating Derby.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'll go down to the wire because we got 4 games at home, which are winning.
So this whole game tomorrow, is it? Is the whole game tomorrow? If we lose, people are saying if we lose that, that's it. It's over. I don't see it that way. How big is this? Is the whole match as we go to 13 games from? I think.
I don't think there's any such thing at the moment as a must. We can't say if we lose the Hull, we're going to go down. As you say, there are 13 games still left. A lot of points to be played for. Obviously, I want to win tomorrow night. I hope we win tomorrow night. But it's not all over after tomorrow. There are still 12 games after that. We won at Sunderland last season. No reason why we can't go there and win again this time. We've got to go to Norwich. Unfortunately, there's a lot of teams that we've still got to play who will have something to play for. Yeah. So that's the big thing. But then if teams are pushing for the playoffs, they might be nervous as well. We're scrapping for points. I'm still hopeful there will be at least 3 worse teams than us come the end of the season.
We got a good record at Sunderland as well, Steve. We've got the last 3 games.
Yep.
The only thing is, we've got. We probably, to get to the magical 50 points, we need another 17, don't we? So we're probably going to need 5 wins, 2, and that's a lot to ask from 13. Bearing in mind we're playing Sunderland away, Sheffield United away, Burnley at home, Norwich away. So that takes it down to maybe winning 5 games out of 9.
Yeah, we got
Stoke. That's a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a big ask. That's the only thing.
I think Stoke, compared to what you said, Rich, could get pulled into it as well.
Yeah.
They threaten to pull away. They get the odd good result, but they're still within touching distance of us. So I'd rather have more teams below us than the 3 that we've got. But as long as there's 3 teams below us at the end of the season, I do not want to go into League One. We need to stay in the Championship, and we've got the players to do it as long as they're fit.
Yeah, it's keeping them fit, isn't it? At the moment, we just had this sort of like massive sort of like injury sort of like crisis that just descended on us, isn't it? So. Tanner's out, isn't he? Still, and then we've got the 2 centre halves. So, what do you do with the centre halves tomorrow? Do you move Perry NG back into the middle, where we know he can play and he's quite solid, or do you push Nicky Fish in there as well?
I think Fisher's got to go in there with Perry NG. Looking at what we've got, if Chambers, further to what you're talking about before we went on air, if Chambers is fit, he's got to play this best position in front of the centre backs.
And any thoughts on the?
I think he's got to protect the back four, isn't he? Just play Chambers. If Chambers is fit, just put him in front of them, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, I think we were saying earlier, wasn't it? You can't see Ramsey being involved again tomorrow, possibly on the bench. Cameo appearance if necessary at best. So we probably Rolls should be all right for tomorrow if they start him. And then I don't know about. It would be nice to have Robertson fit, wouldn't it? But I don't know how bad his injury is again. He's been out a couple of weeks now, hasn't he? Same with Chambers, because they said Chambers was an illness, but he's missed 2 games now, or is it 3? 3 if he doesn't play tomorrow.
Yeah.
His 3 was missed, wasn't he? He was missing for the Bristol City game, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I don't know, exactly what that, but probably, if we could get Robertson fit, that would be something. I think Salek's got to start, hasn't he? I think he must start after the last couple of appearances. He's whether Robertson is fit tomorrow. You know, he's earned a start.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think another thing that people haven't mentioned as well is we've got this cup game at Aston Villa on Friday night, which obviously we're viewing as a bit of a free hit. We want to stay up. However, we don't want to have a score worse than Leeds against a team with the quality that Aston Villa's got at the moment.
I think Villa play a squad. They have utilised their squad because they got a Champions League game the following week, haven't they? So I think their focus will be probably more on the game in midweek than the game on Friday night.
Yeah,
I think that's becoming even more of a relevance now. I know. There's a lot of interest in going up there, and they sold their 5,500, 6,000 tickets or whatever. But really, the situation we're in now, when we're picking up more and more injuries, I think that's becoming an even more, a relevance than ever, really. And I think even if we had a much stronger side to pick, the way Villa are playing at the moment, we're going to get beat anyway, as long as it's not another embarrassment, I suppose. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's so much, like Steve said, we've got to stay in the Championship. That's at all costs.
That's the aim, anyways. That should always be the aim for them. We need to stay up. And when you think after the start we actually had, I mean, we gave teams like a 7-game start on us, didn't we? Effectively,
yeah.
We only picked up.
Yeah.
So to be where we are, we're outside the bottom 3, and hopefully we can start picking up points. We've still got some games around teams around us, haven't we? So if we can just pick up a few points the correct way and the right way, and just put that little bit of breathing space between ourselves and the bottom 3, as Steve has said, we don't want to be going to Norwich where we need to get a result because our record at Carrow Road is not good. So
I'm hoping there'll be a team drawn back into it as well. So Jeff De La Cruz has said that Oxford are starting to fall rapidly after their good start. Slightly concerned that he's also said that he heard that Horvath broke a finger in the warm-up on Saturday. That would be a shame if we had to go down to the third choice keeper, but we are where we are.
Oh my God! Well, that usually where someone comes like that, it's true, isn't it? So we'll have it's Matt then, isn't it?
Turner.
Matt Taylor, yeah.
He was good at holding up 3 fingers and a 0 on his other hand.
Swansea game. And waving the corner flag at the same time.
It never rings, but it paused. It's like, you can't believe it. Your second goalkeeper. Now you're thinking, oh well, Horvath will have to play. Okay, fine, and he breaks it. It beggars belief, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's indeed.
Yeah.
It always needs to be the way, doesn't it? At times.
Yeah.
Fingers also available.
I can hardly believe that. I mean, that would be just our luck, though, wouldn't it? Really.
Just strap 2 of them together, it'd be all right.
Yeah.
I think as well. If they are, as Sai said, if they are going to appeal Guts's red card, he will be able to play tomorrow. So we'll have to just have to wait and see how it goes.
Have you heard anything about that? Because I haven't seen anything on media today about him appealing his red card. It's he would have to be in by now, wouldn't it? Really,
I've only seen what's been put on here. That's the first I've heard about it.
Yeah, I can't see him getting off with it though, because like you said, Steve, he gave the referee a decision to make, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I just don't think we'll get away with that. It was too, it was too near the penalty. Yeah.
And he was caught on the wrong side of him as well, wasn't he? So
yeah.
So when you look at it that way, coming together, you're always going to go with it. The defender's always going to be the person penalised in relation to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
we're saying that how important. A question for you both. How important is Salek to us now? The 4 goals he's got are vital, and hopefully he can get some more goals. How many goals do you think he'll end up with at the end of the season?
I think he's massively important. To be fair, that those two centre halves that the new Plymouth manager has brought in, they look too. They hit him, bashing him. He was appealing. He was having a word with the referee at half time. They give him some right treatment, didn't they? But he kept coming, didn't he? I think his touch isn't bad. I don't think at all.
Yeah.
And he gets on the end of stuff. A couple of 4 goals, all finishers goals, really, and getting on the end of stuff, and that's what we've been wanting for a long, long time. So I think he must start tomorrow, even if Robinson's fit. I think.
Yeah.
Whether they'll play Robinson with him would be another. I think with all our patched up defence, a one-leg goalkeeper and a one-handed goalkeeper, maybe. You know, I think perhaps we need to go forward as much as possible, keep the ball out of our half. You know, so
I think so as well. The return of Isaac Davis is always also very, very encouraging.
Yeah.
It's quite good to see him back, wasn't it, on Saturday? Because he does give you that thing that we are lacking, which is goal pace, and he's quick.
Yeah,
So,
he did look quite strong. Yeah, he did look quite strong too, doesn't he? You know, I mean, I thought it was, you know, the 2 substitutions he made for obvious reasons, because he wanted to bring pace on, I suppose, to try and get the ball, you know, get him going forward. But he brought Ashford on and Isaac Davis, who hadn't kicked the ball for 6 months, and they had El Ghazi and Willock sat on the bench. I think I might be saying something.
Do you think that Rizza should be criticised for playing playing Ramsey the entire 110 minutes, 150 minutes?
Well, I think he had to, probably. When we were down to 10 men, perhaps it was a case of, you know, perhaps he'd had a word with him and saying, can you just give us some organisation there, you know, experience, keep everybody. That's the only thing I can think of, because for him to play that line, I mean, it was like a marathon match, wasn't it? I don't think he would have stayed on if we'd had 11 fit players, put it that way.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, we've got to, hopefully we can have one or other of Darland and Chambers back tomorrow night. And then I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's happening. Obviously, we had 1,700 there on Saturday. Tremendous turnout for a 12:30 kickoff at Plymouth, and we sold our allocation out at Villa on Friday night. Look out for some of you there, but we're still getting this tremendous support, which will hopefully see us through to keep us up this season.
I think it's probably crucial. Also away from that.
So what would you, Rich? What would you do against Villa? What sort of team would you put out for that game?
I'll do what we did in the FA Cup against Sheffield United. Pack every youngster and players that need game time. So people like Willock, Al Ghazi, they give players that haven't played that much, put them in there. So whatever the bench is, starts against Villa.
Yeah. And what you think about the injury for Anik was an unusual one, wasn't it? With the doing his hamstring, clearing the ball.
I didn't know whether it's cramp or the hamstring. It's like they're all going down with cramp, didn't they? 2 players went down with cramp at the same time, didn't they?
Yeah.
Harry Angie was one, and I don't know who the other one was. But they both went down. So you could have made that up. It's like Keystone's got white cups, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Manswerk was stretching Periengi's hamstring, wasn't he? Yeah. And Periengi sort of seemed to kick him in the back of the leg, and then Manswerk fell over with a cramp or something. So it was like it was a circus down there. The last quarter now, it was bizarre, wasn't it? Really, and I think that's why they were accusing us of all the housery, because there was our players are going down, weren't they? And so, but I mean, I if I was a Plymouth fan, I'd be more concerned with their inability to do anything against 10 men and a crock goalkeeper.
Yeah,
you know, I'd be more concerned with them. I think I was a bit bitter and twisted, really. I think, I mean, I would have been disappointed if that was, if our team couldn't have done better than that against that the team that was on the pitch at the end. Put it that way.
I've got Steve helpfully feeding me questions to everybody here. So the next one is on the loan signings. Are the loan signings going to be enough to keep us up? And again, this is people put in the comments as well. Are the loan signings going to be good enough to keep us up? What are your thoughts on Manswerk, Alves? What are your thoughts?
I like Manswerk. Looks really quality in the middle of the park, doesn't he? Someone who hasn't played much this season. He certainly knows how to use the football.
Yeah.
Alves, he's a tricky little winger. He put 2 really good balls into the box on Saturday, didn't he? One where Salek had the header, the other one where Salek scored. I think as Gary said, it's nice to see a winger sort of like go on the outside. So sort of like cutting in, like Craig Noon used to always cut in, didn't he?
Yeah.
Used to always cut inside. And it's nice to see a winger who actually goes around the back of his defender, around his defender, and then puts the ball in.
Yeah.
We know that if Salek is in the 6-yard box or in the penalty box, he's gonna do his utmost to get on the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think they've been two. I think they've been two really good signings. I'm quite happy with them so far.
I agree, Rich. Gary, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Manswick looks like he's able to sort of look after himself in the Championship. His passing is pretty good always. He doesn't give the ball away cheaply, does he? And he's neat and tidy with everything he does, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
Alves, you can see he's got a bit of ability. I think, obviously, second half, we were such, up against it, really. We didn't go forward much second half because that's the way it was, wasn't it, second half? And I can understand why they brought him off, because really, unless you can get the ball to him, and unless we're going forward, I think obviously when we were going forward in the first half, particularly the first quarter, hour 20 minutes, he was getting quite a lot of the ball and causing them problems, weren't we? Getting a few crosses in, a couple of corners, and then the second half, obviously, it became a bit of a war of attrition, didn't it, with everybody, So it was awkward on him, really, wasn't it? I think I think they brought Ashford on then really to sort of help out defensively and to try and sort of as an outlet, really, keep him fresh, really. I guess.
Yeah, I think looking at Friday, I think we'd be likely to see El Ghazi coming on the pitch against Villa, against his old side, but of course. Wits has played for both teams. They've suggested a 7th-minute tribute to Wits, maybe, as he's our retired number 7.
I've seen that on their social sites that they've been in relation that they want to honour their former player too. So I think 7th minute is ideal, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's our number 7 at the end of the day.
Yeah,
they kindly gave us for peanuts. So when was it the start of that 2007 season? They were keeping this number 7 shirt for someone special, weren't they? A special signing. Mm-hmm. And when we signed Peter Whittingham, I don't think people have Peter Whittingham in mind. What a player! What a player! What service he gave us. So he was our special number 7, really, wasn't he? In the end.
Yeah. Last time we went to Villa was at the season we got promoted. We lost 1-0. I remember pulling away. We were overtaken by this car with the police escort with HRH on the back of it, because of course Wills was there because he's a Villa fan.
God.
You might be flying out the skyline.
Hull away was, of course, the first game for Omar Rizza in charge, and we took the lead there. Ended up losing 4-1. I think we kind of lost our way. I remember Jamilu Collins having being doubled up on. Anybody know what's happening to Jamilu Collins? I mean, he seems to be still doesn't seem to have left during the transfer window.
He must still be there. I mean, surely he's fit. Can we bring him in?
Well, you'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
You thought you might actually utilise your squad. If you've got this amount of injuries at the moment, you might actually be utilising your squad to bring some of the players in that he was hoping that would be gone in January. Collins was certainly one of them, wasn't it? He wanted to offload.
I just think there was a big falling out there, wasn't there? I don't think we'll ever see him, no matter how bad the situation with injuries gets. I just think that he's just. I think obviously he's just fallen out badly there, haven't they? I don't think there's any way back there. That's the way it is, I think. Unfortunately for him anyway. I think there's bad blood there now, to be honest. So with the management and all that, I don't think they'll use him.
I think tomorrow we've just got
to. Was in a similar position, wasn't he? The season before, because he was bombed out by Bullet out to Rotherham.
Yeah,
and he's come back, and he's been a revelation of right back. I mean, he's been really solid. He's given us something that we didn't expect out there, did we?
Yeah.
And he's got a good engine, and he works hard. I think that's all you can ever ask, can't you? I think Collins. He had that bad injury, and he's never really recovered. I mean, it's probably fair to say.
Yeah. With the FA Cup coming up on Friday, what are your? Let's go around everybody. What's your top 3 favourite FA Cup moments?
Leeds United, 2001, I think it was.
Yeah.
The Man City game probably where Blakey scored, obviously. And then probably the year we had that cup run where we got beat by Everton, and we beat Wrexham in the previous game, and they scored with about 30 seconds left, didn't they? And then we went up the other end, and I think Buchanan scored our third goal. We won it 3-2, I think.
Yep.
That's the three that come to mind immediately. Yeah.
Rich, how about you?
Just a couple memories. Well, apart from obviously the run to Wembley, I would probably say the last 5 minutes of Borough, watching their clock go down, ticking down, knowing that they were not going to get anything out of the game, and then beating Barnsley at Wembley, Blakey's winner against Man City. And then I would probably say one thing I really enjoyed, we beat Middlesbrough away the round before on a Tuesday night up in Ayrton Park, and that was great. So I bumped in. Mark Hazelwood is at Taswell on Friday night, and I was talking to him about the game. So I remember that thing you were talking about his time at City. I'm really clearing the ball from behind the stand. Because you clear the ball off the line, the ball was basically nestled at the back of the net. Because they had those really small nets. He volleyed the ball. I think it was a good job there was no technology back then, sort of like the beep on the ball, sort of like online technology.
Yeah. A few interesting comments coming in about the FA Cup goals. Martin Ryan, the Middlesbrough away quarter-final. Yeah, agree with that. Michael and Martin both saying Peter Sayer against Spurs. I'd agree with Jeff. Hasselbank's goal against Wolves. I was in the Canton stand for that. It's one of the best goals I saw at Ninian Park. The way he sold the dummies to the Wolves defender. I think he ended up the Bob Bank the way he was going in the opposite direction. And again, Gavin talks about the Cav free kick against Leeds. Nobody really talks about that because we're all talking about the Scott Young winner. Equally important goals. Scott Young's tackle against Leeds. I think Leeds is probably the best atmosphere I ever experienced at Ninian Park. I'm a little bit too young to remember the Real Madrid game, unfortunately. But I think that was the most amazing atmosphere for that game. And again, Blakey's goal against Manchester City and everything in the cup run. The only disappointment for that was obviously not beating Portsmouth in the final, because I don't think we'll ever have such a chance to win the FA Cup again.
No, they should have brought about football memories. Just go back onto that sort of that cup run, 93-94. We played Brentford away in the second round, and their centre half scored one of the greatest goals that I've ever seen, an own goal, like basically a diving header past their keeper, right in front of us. It's one of the best own goals I've ever seen. Oh, I can't remember his name. It was like comedy, really, because it was like a bullet header straight past his keeper. Oh,
yeah.
I suppose the quarter final, I was at Middlesbrough when we beat Middlesbrough. It was the first year that they started playing the semi-finals at Wembley, wasn't it? And Middlesbrough were a Premier League side, and I thought, we're going to fall one short. I was desperate to see Cardiff play at Wembley in a real meaningful game. And when the final whistle went that day, you realise we were going to at least go to Wembley, albeit a semi-final, but at least we were going to see City at Wembley in a big game, which was unbelievable, really, wasn't it?
The draw the following day was quite good, because Barnsley had a really good cup run that year as well, because they beat Liverpool
and Chelsea. Yeah.
So they pulled Cardiff out. They must have thought, I don't think like the Barnsley fans we met on a day. I don't think they were that sort of like confident, because we're both sort of like similar teams at similar levels, so they've raised games in those two games. But that was great. That was great to see your team, play at Wembley. I mean, I used to go past it on the tube every day to work. So the only chance I ever thought we were ever going to get there was in the Auto Windscreen Cup.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
Or Division 4 playoff.
Obviously, 1-0 up from Joe Ledley's goal early on, but I think magic FA Cup moment was when Adejayi was through on goal for Barnsley. And put it. I thought this is where the dream gets shattered, and he put it wide, and I thought, no, we're going to hang on now.
Yeah, they went straight to the stand. Michael Parkinson was there, wasn't he, supporting Barnsley, and he was just had his head in his hands.
Yeah. Because my mate he was in college in Cheltenham, and he used to watch Cheltenham play occasionally. And when he went through, he said he's going to miss. He had one-on-one chances at Cheltenham, and he missed them all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, Graham's pointing out that obviously it was in April we played Barnsley in the semi-final, but there was snow on the huge saying that massive snowball fight in the services. I remember being outside the ground. There were the big sort of tents outside the ground, and there were huge lumps of snow landing off it. It was quite dangerous with the snow coming off the roof at the time. You don't normally expect that. And those of us who were superstitious, turning up in our same clothes for the final as we did in the semi-final, I had this massive coat on because I had to wear the same coat as I wore at the semi-final. Didn't do the trick, of course.
No. He just Dave Jones. He made two big errors in cup finals, didn't he? Not bringing Ramsey on until the last quarter of an hour, and I think he brought Steve Thompson on, and they actually created a few half chances there, didn't they? They started getting at them, and then obviously when we got back there against Blackpool, is bringing not bringing probably Ross McCormack on when Bothroyd got injured. He should have done that, and then that was his big letdown, wasn't it?
Again, there's some tremendous memories coming in that I'd forgotten about. McNaughton's goal against Hereford away in the 2008 cup run.
Yeah,
and of course Aaron Ramsey's first goal for the club at Chasetown away.
Yeah. Did you see did you see every game? I saw every game in our cup run, starting at Chasetown, which was fantastic. Really, I was like, it was a great day out. That was really, because we printed the programs from them. We did all the stewarding from, and it was a bit of a bond. And I think they were the only team rooting for us to beat Pompey in the final, weren't they? Chasetown?
Yeah. There's a book I've got actually that I think about somebody who started off in the preliminary round, following the club through, and he picked us up against Wolves. And I can't think what the book's called off the top of my head, but he's right up of us. He said Ninian Park had the best atmosphere he went to of anywhere in that cup run when he was in the grandstand for the game against Wolves. And then of course he went to Middlesbrough, and he went to the semi-final and then the final. It was great memories. And Gary, I remember I'm just about old enough to remember the 1970s ones as well, and gutted to lose to Everton after we'd beaten Spurs and Wrexham.
Yeah, I remember. Well, Tony Evans was playing then when he scored, and we were 1-up only. And then there was the infamous incident with Albert Lamore, wasn't it, when he tripped him and he went through and they scored right, But I agree. Look, it's the biggest FA Cup game when I was a kid. That was the biggest crowd I've ever been in at Ninian Park. It was 69. We played Arsenal in the third round. Yeah, and it was 55,000 and a couple hundred there. Yeah, and it was absolutely rammed, And I was at the Real Madrid game, obviously. At Hamburg, I was at that game, but it was absolutely rammed against Arsenal in that game. It was unbelievable, the amount of people, because the Bob Bank was huge, but it was absolutely full. All you could see was heads. It was absolutely rammed full that day. Yeah.
Yeah, we have had some great memories over the years in the cup. But go back to what we're going to do this week. Plymouth fans thought we were dirty. Could we argue the reverse?
I don't think we were dirty. We just look. Every team does that, don't they? I mean, every team takes their time, and
they were doing the same against Luton. So I don't know. You're away from home, you will do whatever you can to waste time.
Yeah. And
they were doing the same against Luton on the Wednesday night previously. Yeah. They were wasting time there. So all sides do it. It's just one of these things, isn't it?
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. I'll throw it to you two first. Quiz question: who did Portsmouth beat in their semi-final?
West Bromwich Albion 2-0.
Correct.
Yeah. We were lucky with
Nathan Butler.
What's that?
My mate Nathan Butler, he sent that one in. He's a City. Well, he watches a City, but he's a big West Brom.
Yeah. When you look at that side that Portsmouth had, because Harry Redknapp was there spending money like water at the time, wasn't he? Yeah. When you look at the players they had in their side, they had one hell of a team, didn't they?
Yeah.
They had David James in goals. They had Sol Campbell was in the back four.
Campbell in the back four, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had the midfield. They had the midfield guy who they sold to. I think they sold him to. Was it Real Madrid a year or two later for about 20 odd mil, or the Spanish side? Yeah. Kanu obviously scored the goal, but they had some pretty. They had a pretty you know, there was only 1-0 and it was a goalkeeping error. So there you go. That's
Yeah, it was. It was.
that's-
We won the cup in 1927 due to a goalkeeping error, and we lost the cup in 2008. for the
Yeah, I
same-
suppose so. Unfortunately, it wasn't at the
We've always
27
been a
game. No, was
generous
it?
side, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Very fortunate.
I think it's going back competing in the cup finals. You're right, Gary. It's a very, very good team that we played Portsmouth in. But going across to the Carling Cup or whatever the League Cup was called at the time, the Liverpool team that we took all the way in 2012, of course, had Suarez and Andy Carroll up front, as well as having Craig Bellamy coming on for them as well, of course. And if only Kenny Miller had found the opposite corner when he hit that shot in the last minute.
That, in my opinion, was the best performance we gave in all our appearances at Wembley, bearing in mind what we were playing.
Yeah.
Gerrard was there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
you know,
he
and you know, I mean, when it came down to penalties and they missed their first two, I just thought, you know, if we could have scored one of those, it's all ifs and buts, I know, but you know, because their first two, it was a fantastic save by Heaton off Gerrard for the first penalty.
Yeah.
And then they launched the second one about 5 yards over the bar, but we just couldn't score, could we? Just couldn't get in front, could we?
Yeah. The funny thing about that shootout, that they show it quite regularly again on the.
I never watched it. I couldn't. It was too painful.
Well, I didn't realise at the time was Liverpool's goalkeeper never saved any of our penalties. Two of them hit the woodwork, and Gerrard put his wide.
Yeah. You know, we just needed. But yeah, that volley right at the death by Miller, the keeper had given up on that. Well, he fizzed it over the bar, didn't he?
Yeah.
But if he did that, that's the way it is, though, isn't it? Really, you know. I mean, that's just our, you know, that would have been that some people said that they'd have even forfeited one season of Premiership football just to have beaten a team like Liverpool in a cup final like that and win a cup.
I'd agree.
You know.
I'd agree. Steve's come with a rather worrying fact, but then stats are there to be contradicted. That BBC Cardiff City have lost their past 7 league games against Hull since a 3-0 win in July 2020. Over that stint, we've conceded 17 goals in total. So if that doesn't mean we're not going to win tomorrow, nothing does.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just that they've pulled out 2 unbelievable results, really. Hull in the last, they beat Sheffield United by 3-0, and they Sunderland on Saturday. And although the Sunderland goalkeeper threw their goal in, they still managed to keep a clean sheet in it. That's a concern, really. We don't keep clean sheets, as we said before, and you know, can we? Can we? I mean, they managed to keep a clean sheet at Sunderland. So and again, it depends on who's going to be fit tomorrow. I think it's a massive game, but we're going to have a patched up team, I think.
So should Salish get the nod over at Robbo again?
Yeah, I would start it. I would certainly start. I think he's earned the right to start. You know, he's scoring goals, isn't he? Robbo's a good option to come off the bench, isn't he? Or vice versa. But it'd be nice if you could play. They go back to playing 2 up top, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, strike that better in pairs. But maybe I'm a little bit old.
No, you're spot on, Rich. We have got some good attacking options to come back in Turnbull, Tanner, Robertson, and Robinson. But it's a question of when they're going to come back, I think, and how we're going to fit them into the team. Again, I think we are struggling to work out what our best team is still.
Yeah, I don't think Turnbull and Tanner are going to be available for a while, are they? Because I think Tanner's only out of his boot. He's had on and out. Because I think we initially thought he just bruised his foot, and then 2 weeks later we heard he's in a boot, which is you don't put a boot on for bruising normally, do you? So I think it must have been some sort of ligament damage, and then that sort of because tomorrow. Then what did you think of Caldwell's performance on Saturday overall?
Well, he was instrumental in our goal, as it turned out, with the block tackle he did on the Plymouth defender. But again, he for me, he's definitely a talent on his day. Love seeing him play. The goal he scored against Bristol City last season was absolutely subliminal. But for me, he's a bit too inconsistent. I still see him as a bit of an impact player. What do you think?
I think he's frustratingly inconsistent. because when the game against, funny enough, the game against Plymouth at the start of the when we beat them 5-0, he was instrumental in everything we did well that day. And then the following game against Pompey, he was good, but then things have worked him out a little bit, haven't they? They weren't putting too on him, so he flatters, doesn't he? Sadly, his inconsistency is probably why no one's come in for him. You know, like when they said they were hoping for potentially for people to think, oh, teams are going to come in for him because he had that purple patch in October, but then he's gone back to being as frustrated as what he can be, and that's why he hasn't started regularly, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agree.
If he's consistent, he'd be starting every week, and you would start him every week, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I on Saturday, I can see when against Stoke in the cup he scored 2 good goals, and that's what he's about really. But then he makes. I thought on Saturday he made a couple of errors, didn't he? Not under passing balls and things, and I think that's inconsistent is the thing. I don't think he ever not try. He tries, doesn't he? He's trying up against Bristol. You always say he always tries. But sometimes he just.
That's not his work rate.
No, I think he's given I think he's given it all, but I agree to an extent. Props. Whether they'll play him tomorrow, it all depends who's fit, doesn't it? And but I don't think he did enough. I mean, that one shot if he could have put that one away on Saturday, the one that came across and he flicked it, went over the bar, didn't it?
Yeah.
If that had gone in, I think we'd have been we'd have been home and hosed in that game, I think. But unfortunately, he didn't. So, but I was just wondering whether you think that they'll pick him tomorrow if everyone's fit, like.
It was interesting to see the three lads who supported Cardiff as boys in the side, in Isaac, Ruben, and Kian. Couple of interesting facts from Steve contradicting. Hull City have won each of the last 3 away games against Cardiff City, looking to win 4 in succession for the first time. And more positively, Cardiff are unbeaten in their past 5 home games, having won 2 and drawn 3.
Then. That's perfect. That'll do.
well, I don't know.
Steve, I was going to ask you a question, actually, mate. What have you made of Manswerk since he's come in?
I think he's been. I think he's been the sort of player that we're very lucky to have. He does a very much an unsung job. Does the basics well. Gets into good positions, wins the ball, plays good passes off. He's the sort of player that we're very lucky to have for the short period of time that we'll have, and we'll be looking to see him playing at a much higher level very soon, I think.
Yeah, I think he's one of them where if we can somehow work out a deal for him next year to stay on loan for another year or till Christmas, you have to do it. I've been supremely impressed with him, and I agree with you. He is a different type of defensive midfielder to what Siopis was or what Joe Rawls offers. He's very combative, but he's good on the ball as well. And I would really like to see just once this season a midfield of Manswerk with Robertson next to him and Ruben in front. I don't think we'll probably see it, but I would like to see it because I think there's a good balance there of different types of players who complement each other. And then obviously you've got Aaron Ramsey, who's been on form. Gary, give us a prediction, mate, for tomorrow and for Friday.
Right. Tomorrow's side, I think it'll depend on who's fit to play. I honestly, it's just as basic as that, I think. If Bagan doesn't make it and we got Fish, we're talking earlier on, and we said we could end up with Fish, with NG, or Dauda and Rinamoto as the back 4, which would probably be our most sort of, I mean, if we don't, I can't see Bagan being fit, to be honest. And somebody mentioned earlier on that they believe that our goalkeeper situation is going from bad to worse. We might even end up with Matt Turner playing tomorrow if that's because Hovarth has apparently damaged his finger on Saturday in the warm-up. I don't know if that's true.
can we possibly sign an emergency goalkeeper in these situations?
So yeah, basically, if your sort of first two goalkeepers are out and the third option is effectively a youth player,
Youth team player,
yeah, you can affect. I think you can bring someone in, but it's also who's available, I guess. And I mean, for me personally, I'm not massively convinced by Hovarth or
No,
but
no, I'm not. No, they both got their faults in me. You know,
it's a real big ask though to bring in Matt Turner. Like
Turner.
I've heard he's very good, but wow, what a game to come into. I think, you know, the same thing, if all the centre backs are out, I saw a lot of people, including myself, saying, you know, put Dylan Lawler in. He's 18, he's captain of the under-21s. It's the obvious answer, but it's such a big game that I think it's asking a lot of a player who's not played first team football, particularly in a goalkeeping position, to step up. And the same with Dylan Lawler. I think it would be too much to ask when we've been having the defensive concentration issues that we've had, to then chuck in a kid for his debut in a big game. Richard, what do you think prediction wise for Tuesday and Friday?
Right, 2-1 tomorrow, hopefully. And I'm going to go 2-1 for City on Friday. I can't go against us. So I'll go 2-1. Or maybe 1-0.
Optimism.
And we'll win on penalties. Oh, you got to be
I like that.
optimistic,
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. I think I predicted against Swansea Cardiff 7-0. So when it went 3, I was really excited. I thought it was going in. But Steve, what are you feeling about these games?
I'm thinking 2-1 win tomorrow night. On the basis we can't keep a clean sheet, so we have to win something to 1 at least. Friday night, I agree, Richard. We'll have a late night, getting back in the wee small hours after hopefully going through on penalties, and then having another game to rearrange for the end of the season.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? More rearranged games. I just wanted to say as well, a big thank you to all three of you gentlemen for carrying the show after Steve had some technical issues. He's had a bit of a nightmare today. Yeah, big thank you to all three of you. And obviously, Steve, you were guiding it as well. I really appreciate it. And I know Steve does as well. So thank you to you guys for holding the fort together. And of course, all the people who joined in the comments and whatnot. It's been some interesting. I'm just going to have a quick look before I wrap up and just see if there's any interesting questions to throw at you guys before we go home. Who do you think is a potential danger man for Hull? Anyone really? Anyone got any worries in that Hull team who might give us some trouble?
Geldard, who plays up front.
Yeah, I just feel
he's someone who is rated quite highly, and with possibly a makeshift back four, he could cause us some problems. But to be honest, I don't pay much attention to the opposition.
Yeah, I do feel like we struggle with teams who've got a central striker who kind of gets in behind. I think, generally speaking, our defenders are all right if it's in front of them, and so if they're playing up against a target man, they'll generally be okay. But when teams have got someone who's a bit pacey, we do struggle, and that's my worry with Hull, is they've got a few players who can get you turned around and in behind. But it's a big game.
I think Sellis is going to be a problem. Player that was linked with us earlier on in the season.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially if we've got a makeshift back four.
Yeah, if all the injuries are to be believed, we could end up with something like O'Dowda, Fish. Who else was it? Gutas. But Gutas is an interesting one because I think they'll appeal it just so he can play tomorrow. But if NG's got a knock,
yeah, we said
really struggling. Like you could end up with Rinamoto at centre back. Maybe they could move Mansverk back or Chambers is back, but I thought Chambers really struggled at centre back.
So, yeah, he did. I thought he's been far better at midfield because you mentioned the Hull game, the first game under Risa, and I thought he was bullied and pushed around that day. He looked awful that day as centre half, and then obviously he looks far more steady and accomplished as a defensive midfield player, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Fingers crossed he's okay to play, because we were told 2 weeks ago there was an illness, and this seemed to have dragged on a while. He's missed 3 games now, I think.
Yeah, we are very much the walking wounded at the moment.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are, definitely.
Lots of attacking options, but outside of that, we're struggling a bit, I think. But interestingly, I did an Aston Villa podcast this morning previewing the game, and they were talking about Callum Chambers, and they said he struggled to centre back for them a lot in his final season, but he played the last game of the season in central midfield against Liverpool and was one of the best players on the pitch. So maybe he just suits that sort of position in midfield a bit more. He just seemed to struggle with the intensity of the Championship, I thought, at the back, but then in the midfield, he's been one of our best players. So.
Well, I think we've got plenty of forward options now. I think we all agree that Salah's got to start because he's been so, his goals to time ratio is great, isn't it? Mm. And he looks, he gets on the end of stuff into the 6-yard box and into the penalty area. So if Robinson is fit tomorrow, whether you start the 2 of them, I don't know, because I think if we're going to be patched up at the back to the extent we think, I think we've got to try and go forward as much as, keep the pressure off us as much as possible. Because to ask, we haven't kept many clean sheets, even with a full quota of players. So if we're that patched up at the back tomorrow, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? So I think we need to be going forward as much as possible.
One positive point on that is Hull won't know how we're going to set up. We don't know how we're going to set up. So all Hull's homework on us for tomorrow night will go out the window, because we don't know how we're going to be organising ourselves at all. So as Jake said, they're front to us, Salah and Davis. We've only seen that very briefly at Plymouth on Saturday, because we had to reorganise so much and go far more defensively, because we had players sent off. But I think also some interesting comments there that Villa will play their second string. Our second string was better than Sheffield United's second string. Our second string was better than Stoke's second string. So let's see how we get on against the team that's still in Europe as well.
Yeah, our second string is also different now, isn't it? Because our second string now will include the likes of Isaac Davis, Al Ghazi, and Willock. You'd like to think those players will have something to prove, because they've been, apart from Isaac, but El Ghazi and Willock particularly have been kind of moved to the side a little bit since January because of the new signings. So you'd like to think they've got something to prove, but Villa are going to bring in people like Rashford and some other big names. So
Asensio, he's rubbish as well, isn't he?
Yeah, don't say that. We'll say that after Friday, shall we? Just in case.
No, I mean, their second string is frightening. They're a really good side this year. They're really good. And the one thing that worries me is because Leeds carved us to shreds with pace, and Villa got plenty of it in spades. I don't think whatever team we play up there, I think we got bigger fish to fry. We all said that we got to stay in this league by hook or by crook. We got to stay in the Championship, and I think cup runs are nice and all that, but I'd almost give that away if we could stay up. It's just any day of the week.
Victory tomorrow is our game in hand over Plymouth. So victory tomorrow would give us a 6-point gap over Plymouth and a 3-point gap over Hull. I think that is what you've got to focus on. I also believe that if we play at our best and we play with the intensity that we started Saturday's game with, that I think will be, the crowd will be up and it'll be an interesting game. I don't think we'll be playing 3 at the back though, because I don't think we got 3 centre backs. So there's that. Right then, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Well, not really me, but thank you for joining us and for righting the ship, as it were. Thank you to Steve Johnson and everyone who's watched. And we'll be back next Monday for the Cardiff City phone-in. And don't forget, Cardiff City World is 7 days a week of Cardiff City content. So please do check that out. We'll have a preview up a bit later as well for tomorrow's game. But yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.